Alright, what's happening world, what's happening YouTube? If you're coming back, welcome back to the channel. For any new viewers, welcome to the Team Scat Cat channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to do anything inside the Hellcat today because one, the Hellcat is at a shop right now getting a little bit of a mod done to it. Excuse me, so we're going to get to that in the next video coming up. But also because this video is about a little bit of a different issue with the Hellcat. So I mentioned in my last video that I already had to bring the Hellcat back to the shop to get some warranty work done. So that's a little bit annoying, right? I just got this Hellcat 2 weeks ago. Well, now it's probably like 3 weeks ago. But I just got this Hellcat, had it for about 2 weeks now, and we already got to get warranty work done. So what was the warranty work that had to be done? Well, that's what we're going to go over today in this video. So it's not going to be anything extensive, just a quick little video to inform you guys on what the actual warranty work was that I had to have done on my 2018 Charger Hellcat. Just a little backstory on what had happened with the Hellcat. It was nothing major, but obviously I'm just about at 1,500 miles right now on the car. I'm enjoying every mile that I've put on the car so far. But excuse me, but within the first like 400 miles, I started to notice, like, you know, some little quirks, things here and there that, you know, I figured would either go away after I'd hit 500 miles or after I'd hit 1,000 miles. Just, you know, is a brand new car, obviously, so everything can settle in, get all that initial break-in stuff done and over with. So I noticed this issue for about the first 400 miles, and I sort of ignored it until there was a point where I couldn't really ignore it anymore. So obviously, what was going on, a lot of you are obviously going to ask. Well, when I would turn hard to the left or hard to the right, or if, you know, I was coming to a slow turn and obviously turning to like the apex of the left or the right with the steering wheel, if I had my windows down, and actually towards the end of the time before I took it into the dealer, I would start to hear a really loud clicking noise coming from my front wheels. So at first, you know, coming from the Scat Pack where, you know, you have the 4-piston Brembos on all 4 corners on the Scat Pack, I just thought, you know, it was because, well, you know, I got to get used to these 6 pistons on the front. Obviously, they produce a lot more brake dust, which they do, and I'm going to have to take care of that in a video in the future. But that's down the road. We ain't got to worry about that right now. But anyway, I obviously thought about, you know, maybe it's just these 6-piston Brembos. Maybe it's, like I said, just something that they produce so much brake dust. Obviously, you got to worry about those big brakes, so you have to always clean them, constantly clean them. They're always going to make some sort of squeaking noise or squealing noise or something like that because they just produce so much brake dust. So that's what I thought the initial problem was. Until about a week and a half to 2 weeks into driving the Hellcat, where, like, when I would start to come into park or something like that, or turn into my garage or something like that, and it would become a very loud, annoying ticking, almost like I can't even replicate it now because I wish I should have, you know, going back, I wish I should have gotten a video for you guys, or at least an audio recording of what the actual noise was. But anyway, to put all that aside, it was a very loud clicking noise. It almost sounded like a metal on metal clicking noise, which thankfully it wasn't. But the only thing I can liken it to is before your boy got into all this Mopar game, I had a 2002 Hyundai Elantra. Now, the reason I bring this up is because the noise it was making sounded to me like something that was wrong with my old Hyundai Elantra. So we're gonna go off on a tangent. We're gonna rewind it back to the past. Back when your boy had a Hyundai, didn't have this Mopar game in his channel and this Instagram following that he has now. So anyway, my Hyundai obviously was a good car. I have no problems with Hyundais, but what had happened after driving for so long, and I'd gotten into about 1 accident with it because I, you know, was still, I pretty much got it from when I got my permit all the way up until I got my Challenger Scat Pack. So obviously, I'm not a reckless driver, but, you know, life happens, so I got into an accident. The outcome, long story short, of that accident was there was a crack in my axle, and what would happen is through every rotation of driving that, you could hear the crack basically slinging oil, and that's what it sounded like. It sounded like there was something with the axle, or something wrong with the axle, at least like what I said. That's what I likened the noise to. I was like, so damn, I was really hoping it wasn't anything with the axle, but long story short, there was nothing wrong with the axle. But what was wrong with it Well, that's what we're gonna look at right now. Okay, so to better illustrate what was wrong with it, I'm just gonna give you guys the paperwork. I'm gonna show you guys the paperwork from the dealership, and you're basically gonna see what the problem was, and like sort of like I guess the code with it, and what they had to do to remedy the situation. So let's get into that. Boom. Boy, I love seeing that right there. Okay, so all right, we got the Hellcat papers. I pretty much just keep all of my stuff, my contract. You can hear my extra red key fob and my black key fob, because who the hell needs that? I keep all that stuff in here. So let's get into it. All right, so this is basically what they gave me here. I ain't gonna show y'all my address and anything like that, but this is where I bought the Hellcat from. This is where I got the Hellcat from. If anybody needs a good Mopar or a Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, used car, hey, my Scat Pack's there. You guys can hit up Jacksonville Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge. You can talk to Devron, talk to Troy, all these guys I talked to when it came to getting my Hellcat. But regardless, let's get off of that and let's go into what the problem was. So, let me find it here. All right, so here we go. Right here. General concern. Customer states rotors click when turning. Check and advise general concern. Verified. Here we go. This is the big one here. Verified concern. Clean paint off rotors and back of wheels. As per star case, looks like number 152200002. Took paint off rotor and rotor. Took paint off rotor. Off front of rotor and back of wheel. I don't know what the hell happened there. I just couldn't read that, so you know I'm embarrassing myself with that one. But obviously it was all under warranty, so your boy got charged $3.99 for that. But anyway, so that's what it was. So again, let's talk about that. So customer states rotors click. So clean paint off rotors and back of wheels per this case right here. So I don't know if this is the actual case number or you know, the recall per se, but that's, I mean, if you guys look up that and or you know, just sort of like look in forums about, you know, paint on the rotors, that's probably what you're gonna find out. Okay, so what does that mean in layman's terms? I'm gonna talk to you guys about this while I'm putting away my paperwork. So what does that mean in layman's terms for you guys? So basically how the dealership explained it to me was, you know, basically just like it says on that summary sheet. Apparently, and I'm not sure what the year model is, but I'm just gonna go out on a ledge and say probably 2017 to 18 or 18 to 19. So it turns out that there is an open code, is the terminology that they use for me. There is an open code, at least on the 2018 models, Chargers. I do not know if it spans to the Challengers, the 300s, anything like that. But obviously for those Charger owners, here's just, you know, something to be aware of. So what they told me is that, you know, from the factory, and I'm assuming it has something to do with, especially for 2017, 18, and probably 19 model years, the Brembo calipers sometimes either come body paint matched or they come in a totally different paint scheme, whereas they used to be, at least on my Challenger Scat Pack, they were like the matte black, and that seemed to be the theme with a lot of Chargers and Challengers in the 16 model year. Well, now obviously we see, you know, you've got Go Mango Chargers with Go Mango brake calipers. Excuse me, my Charger is billet silver and it's got silver Brembo brake calipers, whereas you can have a yellow jacket Challenger or a Charger and you can maybe have obviously yellow brake calipers, but you can, sometimes they come from the factory with different paint schemes. So me putting two and two together kind of seems like, and also again, like I said, from what they relayed to me, they come from the factory with, it seems to me like a little bit of overspray on the rotors. So after about 4 hours in the dealership, when I thought it was just gonna be something of, oh, don't worry, sir, it's nothing to do with your car, it's just these big brakes, they put off so much dirt, you know, we're gonna give them like, you know, sort of a thorough clean, and then we're gonna give it back to you, and, you know, sorry that you wasted your time, but you're just gonna have to keep cleaning them all the time, or change out your brake pads, which I'm definitely gonna do to try and minimize that brake dust. But yeah, so it turns out, overspray of paint on the rotors. So what did they have to do with it? Like I just said, about 4 hours into sitting at the dealer, they basically, I was able to get a good view of the Hellcat as they raised it up. I couldn't see what he was doing, you know, for the finite stuff, but obviously I saw he took off the wheels, all four corners and all that stuff. So for a little bit there, the Hellcat was without wheels. That kind of looked a little spooky to me. But anyway, so what the tech had to do was he basically had to, you know, use a paint solvent, and he had to get that paint off of the rotors. So basically the whole time that I was waiting there, when I thought, like, you know, what the hell's going on? Why doesn't anybody tell me about my car? The poor tech back there was basically just like, you know, doing his best and everything he could to get these paint off of the rotors, to make sure that the brake calipers and the brake pads, the rotors and all that stuff was clean again, paint free. And then that way, when he put the wheels back on, there would be no more clicking. So basically, the clicking that came from turning to the hard right or left when I was going at slow speeds and sometimes medium speeds was from overspray from the factory of paint on the rotors. And apparently that was for the front and back. Now, I didn't hear it in the back ones. I only heard it in the front because they made the loudest clicking noise when I turned, like I said, from the left and the right at low and medium speeds. So thankfully, apparently, like I said, this code or this case, this star case, like I just showed you guys in papers, is already a thing. It's already well known to dealers for, like I said, at least for the 2018 Chargers. I am not sure about the Challengers, Jeeps, Chryslers, all that stuff, but if you're a Charger owner, and I would just take the caution, because my buddy, that GD Daytona, go follow him, by the way, on Instagram, and the name doesn't change, it's that GD Daytona, so go follow him on Instagram. He's having the same problem with his 2017 Daytona, because he's got the 6-piston calipers in the front too. So I already advised him that he should probably go get it checked out and see what they can do, because obviously his is still pretty new, so it's going to be under warranty as well. But I would advise anybody with the 6-piston Brembo brake caliper setup in the front of their Charger in the year 2017, 18, and probably the 19 model years as well, unless this gets back to Fiat Chrysler America and they fix this problem, or they figure out what's going on in whichever part of the factory and they fix this problem. I would advise you guys to go look at that stuff as well. But yeah, so this tech did a great job. He took off the paint of the rotors, he took it on a test drive afterwards, did some pretty extensive testing with, again, turning to the left and the right, slow speeds, medium speeds, even high, well, you know, as legally as they can go for high speeds, quote unquote, because it ain't my high speed. Let me tell you what, ain't my high speeds, baby. But yeah, so he took off that paint, he took it on test drive, cleared it, good to go, and I haven't had a problem with it since. So, all in all, paint on the rotors, gotta go get it taken off. It's under warranty. They charge you $3.99 for it, or at least that's what happened in my case. So if you guys are still under warranty with a 2018 to probably 2019 model year, I will get that checked out if you guys are having problems with your rotors. Now, on a side note for that issue, I initially looked it up just to see, you know, just to make sure that I wasn't freaking out about anything. Like, you know, same thing that I did with my Scat Pack. I looked up every little issue that I had. Turned out, luckily for the Scat Pack, it was all just break-in things that were going to go away after the first initial 1,000 miles. But for the Hellcat, you know, obviously a little bit more of an expensive car, so I was like, I don't want anything bad happening to this car that, one, I don't know about, or something that I think is bad happening to the car that I'm just freaking out about because it's a break-in issue. So I looked in a couple SRT forums, a couple Hellcat forums, just a couple Dodge Charger Challenger owner forums. And the only thing that I found, because nothing really touched on the paint overspray on the rotors, but the one thing that I did find is that there were a lot of people who were experiencing just basically a general issue with the 6-piston brake calipers. So if you guys think you're having this problem, this could also be a portion of it as well. And I'll tell you what differed from my issue to this. It's not even an issue, but my issue to this just quirk with the 6-piston brake calipers between these SRT owners and my actual warranty work. So basically what these people were saying was that they were getting the clicking in their rotors when they would turn to the left or the right, or even when they were just driving. So it turns out that a lot of these rotors, because the way they're dual plated, a lot of these rotors just take time to heat up. So a lot of the owners who had looked into this before and taken their cars to the dealers already were basically just explained that, hey, so just because you have the dual plated rotors, what's going to happen is when they're cold, they're going to click under duress, basically. So until they eventually heat up, then you won't be able to hear the clicking anymore. And a lot of the owners, after seeing this post from somebody in the forum, had also agreed, like, you know, okay, so sure, yeah, basically. When I start up in the morning, I get this really loud clicking, but if I drive it throughout the day, I don't hear it anymore. So basically the difference was they would cold start their cars, or if the car lived inside, outside, whatever, they'd cold start their cars, they'd drive their cars, they'd get this clicking that they'd hear in their rotors, but throughout the day, the clicking would go away. Now for me, it was a little bit different. That's what I thought my initial problem was. So I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna give it a day or two, I'm gonna test this out. That's exactly what I did. I'd cold start the car, I'd turn out of my driveway after I get out of the garage. Sure enough, what do I hear? I hear that click, 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 click as I'm turning to the left to try and get out of my neighborhood. Same thing when I'm turning to the right to try and get out onto the highway. Now the difference was it takes me maybe about 10-15 minutes to get to work in the morning without traffic. So by then, you know, I've easily braked it a couple times. The car is heated up. The brakes are probably a little bit warmer than they were, obviously, than sleeping overnight for about 12 to 15 hours. But when I'd get to work and I'd turn into a parking space, I'd still hear the same clicking. So all in all, the difference was, like I said before, their clicking went away. My clicking did not go away. So if you guys think you're experiencing that problem, you know, sort of do that self-experiment for yourselves and see if it goes away after warming the car up, or if it's not going away, you might want to go see if you can get some warranty work done on it. But anyway, y'all, that's my quick spiel. Sorry that I didn't get into doing anything with the Hellcat today. But like I said before, the Hellcat's in the shop right now getting, I wouldn't say a big mod done, but it's getting a pretty necessary mod done. So we'll be back with you next weekend with a video on that and why this is essential to get done for any new car. Some of you guys probably can already guess what it is, but until that time, this video is over. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, browse, and subscribe. Quick shout out to everybody on my Instagram, and that is still under the username @TeamScatCat. Shout out to everybody on my Instagram who has been voting on the new name change for the Instagram page. For the YouTube, I'm probably gonna keep this Team Scat Cat name because, I mean, that's just, I mean, technically it's true, that is the heritage. It went from the Scat Pack over to the Hellcat, so I think I'm gonna keep the YouTube name the same. But coming very, very shortly, there will be a name change for the Instagram profile. So all of you guys, you know, I get tagged in a lot of stuff, a lot of features and stuff like that. So eventually, if you guys can't find me, should be, I'd probably say within the next week or two, there's gonna be a name change. And if you don't know the reason behind me changing my name on my Instagram profile, you're gonna have to go look on my Instagram profile and you have to figure it out there, because that's gonna be a whole different story if I start telling it now. And this video is never gonna end. But like I said, without further ado, this video is over. Again, please like, browse, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Take care, YouTube.